From millionaire to beggar, a black man's journey amid Elon Musk and Donald Trump. People still can't stop talking about it. A black man who was once at the top, rubbing shoulders with the likes of Elon Musk and Donald Trump. Now, living on the cold, unforgiving streets of New York City. How does someone this close to power end up so far below? The whispers are everywhere. He was a millionaire, they say, born with a golden touch. Then, overnight, gone, just vanished. But the truth? It's darker, even more tangled than the tabloids suggest. On one hand, there's the mystery. How did a man with a mansion in Manhattan, invites to the swankiest parties, and a future carved in gold, wind up clinging to a beaten-up piano in Central Park? The keyboard isn't even his. It was left behind by some stranger who vanished as fast as he did. And every day he plays soulful tunes that make strangers stop, like the music carries secrets they can almost taste. On the other hand, there's the shock and disbelief. Walking past his spot today, you'd see him hunched over those cracked ivory keys, eyes closed tight, lips trembling with every note. Passers-by pretend not to stare, but you can hear the sharp intakes of breath and see the tight jaws as they whisper, "Is that really him?" His black leather jacket is threadbare now, soaked from yesterday's rain, hands shaking, not just from cold, but from the weight of a world that's shoved him aside. And then there's the name, Jordan. Not just any Jordan, but the son of a billionaire tech mogul, pressured, restless, drowning under the thick blanket of his father's expectations. The last thing anyone thought was that he'd stop on a random bench one afternoon and listen to those haunting piano chords. Something about the music pulls him in, like a lifeline tossed across two worlds. No one knows what he wants, or what he's running from, but in that moment, between the music and the silence afterward, a bridge is forming between two broken souls. What secrets stick to these keys? What stories lie beneath the grime of those city streets? And why does the sound of a piano feel like the only truth left in a world full of lies? Just as the sun dips low, casting long shadows across the park, someone moves in from the edges of Mia's past. Cold, threatening, and impossible to ignore. What they want might shatter the fragile trust folded between her and Jordan. And suddenly, everything isn't just about notes and friendship anymore. Is their bond strong enough to face the storm coming for them both? Or will the ghosts of yesterday drag them back to the darkness they've barely escaped? Hey, before we continue with this amazing story, I need to give you an important warning. Many subscribers have reported that YouTube removed their subscriptions without notice. Take a quick look at the red button below to make sure you're still subscribed to the channel. I don't want you to miss any exclusive content that's coming. And since you're here, drop a powerful like. That really helps me with the algorithm. Oh, and let me know in the comments, what city are you watching from? I love getting to know every amazing person who's part of this community. Your participation makes all the difference. Let's interact. Just as the sun dipped, shadows grew long and ominous, wrapping around Mia and Jordan's fragile connection. The notes from the piano swirled around them like ghosts of the past, alive with longing and despair. And then, the air shifted. A chill rushed through, sending a shiver down Mia's spine. From the corner of her eye, she spotted a figure in the distance. Dark hoodie pulled low, hands shoved in pockets. They moved closer, a steady, calculated gait. Mia's heart raced. A knot formed tight in her chest, each heartbeat echoing like a drum. Jordan, lost in his playing, didn't notice. "Is that?" she whispered, eyes narrowing. The figure came into focus, revealing a face she'd never hoped to see again. It was Marcus. The shadow of her past, the one she thought she'd escaped, now stood there, a menace pulsing in the twilight. "Hey, Mia!" His voice was gravelly, filled with a familiar edge that sent a jolt of fear through her. "Long time no see." The words dripped with threatening familiarity. She froze, panic clawing at her throat. Jordan's playing faltered, fingers hesitating above the keys. The air thickened, the magic of the moment shattered. "What do you want, Marcus?" Mia forced the words out, voice trembling like the leaves around them. He stepped closer, the streetlights casting an eerie glow on his face. "You know why I'm here, Mia. You can't run from your debts forever." Jordan's head snapped up, confusion etching across his features. "What's going on?" he asked, worry creeping into his voice. She thought of the money, the promises made, the quiet threats that had lingered like shadows in her memory. Mia glanced at Jordan, feeling the tension crackle between them. I can explain," she stammered, feeling exposed under Marcus's relentless gaze. But Marcus wasn't interested in explanations. "You've got something of mine, Mia, and I'm here to collect." There was a sinister edge to his words, chilling, sharp as glass. A murmur swept through the small gathering crowd. Strangers were now witnesses to something darker. Mia wanted to run, to escape the clutches of her past, but she couldn't leave Jordan in the line of fire. "Marcus, please, I can't do this." Her voice was barely a whisper now, a plea for mercy. But then the most shocking turn unfolded, like a cruel twist of fate. As Marcus reached for her arm, Jordan stood abruptly, stepping between them, his voice strong yet trembling. "Back off! You don't get to bully her anymore." Mia's pulse quickened. Jordan, rich, privileged, now standing guard against a threat he didn't fully understand. And it was then that she saw it, hidden behind his fierce gaze. A flash of recognition, a flicker of something dark and vulnerable. "Who do you think you are? You have no idea who you're messing with." Marcus sneered, eyeing Jordan up and down. But as the air crackled between them, Mia knew something wasn't right. Jordan's hands clenched into fists. "Maybe I do." His voice dropped low, words infused with a weight that caught Mia off guard. Suddenly, a sudden piercing sound shattered the moment. A gunshot rang out, loud and unyielding, echoing through the park. Time froze. The world around them blurred, spiraling into chaos. Mia's breath hitched in her throat. She turned to Jordan, fear and disbelief crashing over her. What had just happened? As screams filled the air and people scattered like leaves in the wind, questions flooded her mind. What lay beneath Jordan's calm demeanor? What had triggered this explosive confrontation? She reached for him, but in that heartbeat, everything fractured. As the dust settled, a new layer of tension coiled tightly around them, pulling them into a fate neither expected. What had they stepped into? And as silence crept back, the answers hung precariously in the air, leaving Mia to wonder, if they could survive the storm that had just began to brew. As the sun hung low, casting shadows that crept like whispers through the park, Mia felt an unsettling chill crawl up her spine. The familiar rhythm of Jordan's piano filled the air, soulful and haunting. But just as the first notes floated away, the atmosphere shifted. From the edge of her vision, she noticed a figure, tall and ominous against the fading light. A chill raced through her, scattering her thoughts. This wasn't just any passerby. His sharp, piercing gaze fixed on Jordan, a mix of hunger and malice that sent dread through her chest. There was something profound, Mia called, her voice shaky as she rose from the bench. The sounds of the piano stumbled, paused, and the world felt too still. But he didn't hear her. He kept playing, lost in his own world. The weight of his presence hit her like a brick. The brother no one spoke about, the family secret that had taunted Jordan since they'd started their friendship. "Oh, great," Jordan muttered under his breath, its fingers stuttering on the keys. The music faded into a discord that hung heavy in the air. "What do you want?" Samuel smirked, a cruel twist of his lips. "You really think you can just disappear, Jordan? How naive. Father sent me to find you. He wants you back." The city around them buzzed, but it felt miles away, the world narrowing to the three of them, like a spotlight closing in. Mia's heart raced. She sensed the danger in Samuel's words, a threat veiled under a brotherly guise. "I don't want anything to do with him!" Jordan shouted, his voice cracking like breaking glass. The anger, the pain, it spilled out, raw and unfiltered. Mia watched as fear and sorrow flickered across Jordan's face. She grabbed his arm, feeling his body tense, the coldness creeping in. "Jordan, we have to go," she urged. A shifting expression crossed Samuel's face. Something dark lurking behind those familiar features. "You think running away will save you? You're not the only one with something to lose." In that moment, everything shattered. The world became chaos. Mia felt the air thicken as Jordan's breath hitched, his eyes searching hers for answers they both couldn't have. And then it happened. A trash can tipped over nearby, a loud clatter erupting through the silence. Heads turned. Samuel leaned closer, his voice barely above a whisper, laced with venom. "You don't understand what they're capable of, do you? You think you can just walk away from this life like it means nothing?" The realization hit Mia like a punch. This wasn't just about family ties. It was about power, corruption, and a past that clawed relentlessly at Jordan. Suddenly, everything felt darker. Each note from the piano, each glance from Samuel, filled with secrets ready to spill. As Jordan's hand trembled on the keys, Mia's mind raced. Would they be forced into a battle against something far larger than themselves? Or was the bond between them strong enough to face Samuel's impending storm? With the music now a distant echo, uncertainty gripped her heart. Samuel's presence loomed like a storm cloud ready to break, and the chilling thought crossed her mind. How well did she really know Jordan? And more importantly, what was he willing to sacrifice to keep his past at bay? Mia's heart pounded in her chest, the corner of the park swallowing the last hues of daylight. Samuel's words wrapped around her like a vice. "You think running away will save you?" The weight of his threat hung heavy in the air, each pulse of uncertainty drawing closer to them, like a storm cloud ready to burst. Jordan's face twisted in anger, that familiar tension brimming to the surface. But just as he opened his mouth to respond, the ground beneath them trembled. It was a subtle quake at first, a shudder that rippled through the grass and sent leaves fluttering down like autumn's play. Then came an explosion, sharp, loud, shattering the fragile bubble around them. A nearby building erupted in a spray of glass and debris. A quick cascade of screams followed. Chaos, breaking loose like a wild animal freed from a cage. People dashed for cover, some stumbling, others falling to their knees. "Mia!" Jordan called, his voice lost in the roar. She turned, her eyes wide and glued to the billowing smoke rising from the streets, a dark cloud that swallowed the last remnants of light. What just happened? Fear clawed at her throat as she gripped his arm, searching his face for answers. "I don't know." His eyes darted to Samuel, who stood rooted in place, his sneer replaced with something close to confusion. This wasn't part of it. Mia sensed the shift. This wasn't just a threat from Samuel anymore. The danger was all around them. "We need to get out of here." But before they could react, another crash echoed, louder this time. A volley of sirens screamed nearby, blending into the chaos. In the distance, shadows moved, unfamiliar figures rushing toward them, emerging from the smoke and chaos like demons. Jordan's breath quickened, and suddenly, he wasn't just a guy playing piano anymore. There was fear in his eyes that made Mia's blood run cold. "We have to go now!" His grip tightened around her wrist as he started to pull her away. But Samuel, regaining his composure, didn't back down. "You think this changes anything? This isn't over!" In that instant, a flash of movement caught Mia's eye. An officer, rushing through the fray, glaring at Jordan. A look of recognition as they locked eyes. Her heart sank. The officer drew near, shouting above the noise. "Jordan, you need to come with us, now." "What?" Jordan froze mid-step, eyes wide. "Why?" "Now's not the time," the officer yelled, urgency lacing his tone. "You're in danger." Samuel looked panicked now, his bravado faltering. "You don't have to listen to them, Jordan. They're lying." Mia felt the rift growing, confusion mounting like a brewing storm above their heads. "What's going on? Who are they?" "Shut up." Jordan snapped, panic replaced with something darker, a desperation that flicked her stomach. Without thinking, she reached out, forcing him to meet her gaze. "Jordan, please, don't let him." But before she could finish, a loud bang echoed. Another explosion ringing through the park, igniting the air with fiery chaos. People screamed and scattered, the entire world collapsing around them. Suddenly, the ground shifted again, violent, unpredictable. Mia felt herself falling. Scrambling as the earth beneath them cracked. An unmistakable realization gripped her. The chaos wasn't just happening around them, it was hunting them down. "Mia!" Jordan grabbed her, pulling her back just as a piece of debris tumbled toward them. She could see the fear in his eyes, raw and real. Then came a sound that made the world stop. A siren wailing through the chaos morphed into a voice, loud and clear. "Jordan, you're not safe. He's here for you." The revelation hit hard, washing over her like ice water. Mia turned slowly, gazing into the dimming light, searching for the voice, the meaning behind it. Who's after him?" But the park was no longer just a backdrop. It was a battleground. And in the haze of confusion, she sensed the true depth of Jordan's world. "Jordan, what do you know?" And just like that, everything shifted. The people around them, their lives, their struggles, were now entwined in something that felt far bigger, darker, and more dangerous than either of them could ever understand. Mia's grip on Jordan's wrist tightened, the world spinning, igniting a fierce determination. "We're getting out of here, together!" But deep down, she now questioned everything she thought she knew. What monsters lurked behind the smoke, and who truly was Jordan? As the last rays of sun sank into the horizon, casting shadows that danced along the cracked pavement, a cold gust of wind whispered through Central Park. The atmosphere was thick with unspoken tension, an uneasy silence gripping everyone who passed by. Mia watched Jordan play, his fingers moving over the keys, each note a cry into the void. But then, from the edge of the park, a figure emerged. Tall, cloaked in darkness, the silhouette didn't belong. Like a thunderstorm rolling in after a clear day, this presence sent a shiver down Mia's spine. She could sense the storm within the man who approached, and it wrapped around her like a cold sweat. Jordan's eyes suddenly widened. He stopped playing, the last note quivering in the air, fading into nothing. The music that had connected two lost souls slipped away, leaving nothing but silence and the tension that wrapped around their hearts. "Jordan!" Mia's voice trembled, an instinctive warning, but he didn't turn. He just stared, disbelief etched across his face. The man moved closer, his face partially hidden in the shadows, but Mia recognized him. The news had splattered his face on every headline, every screen. It was Victor, the rogue son of Jordan's father's biggest competitor. A man hell-bent on revenge. "Mia, get out of here!" Jordan's voice cracked, desperation leaking through. But she was rooted, eyes darting between Jordan and Victor, as though she could unravel the danger with just a glance. Victor took a step forward, and the ground seemed to shake beneath them. "Thought you could hide forever?" he snarled, his voice dark and dripping with contempt. Mia's heart raced. "What do you want?" The words slipped from her mouth, but she already felt the answer in her bones. Victor's eyes gleamed with something else, something more than just revenge. "Oh, you have something I want." And then, like a dam bursting, a gasp rippled through the small crowd that had gathered. Murmurs bounced around like errant balls of confusion. "Look at that guy," someone whispered, pointing. "Isn't he related to—" The realization hit Mia like a punch to the gut. Jordan's father had made enemies. Victor wasn't just here for Jordan. He was here for something much bigger. Something tied to the secrets buried in Jordan's past. Suddenly, Victor whipped out a small device, illuminating his grim face with a cold glow. "You think I'll let you disappear without consequences?" he barked, as flashes of something, images, played across the screen for everyone to see. Mia squinted. It was a photo of Jordan's luxurious life. Warm parties and smiling faces faded into a dark truth. Underneath, a chilling link to a scandal that could destroy everything. The crowd recoiled. Jordan's pride, his family's name, destroyed in one cruel moment of public exposure. Jordan's face drained of color. The man who had once had everything now stood taut as a string about to snap. "Don't!" he shouted, but the fear in his voice betrayed him. Mia could feel the ground shifting, reality crumbling around them. Everything they were, everything they fought to be, was under threat. Amid the gasps and whispers, she locked eyes with Jordan, and in that instant, a world of trust wavered. "What isn't he telling me?" her mind screamed. More pieces of a complex puzzle began to surface. She had thought everything was about music, about connection. But now, shadows of betrayal loomed large, and the question throbbed in her chest. Was there a truth hidden even deeper within Jordan? The moment stretched. Hearts raced, and then the screen blinked. The image illuminated the park with a searing light, drawing the attention of every onlooker. They stood there, breathless, caught between fear and uncertainty, as the truth waited to unravel. What secrets had bound them together? And what had they unknowingly invited into their lives? As the sun sank lower, shadows stretched across Central Park, darkening the scene around Jordan. He played on, lost in the notes, unaware of the gathering storm. Just then, Mia, drawn by the magic of his music, stepped closest yet, her heart racing ever so slightly. She had always felt a connection, a bond deepened by the secrets they whispered in the night. But tonight felt different, charged with a tension she didn't yet understand. Suddenly, from the edge of the park, a figure emerged, tall, imposing, with a grim expression that silenced the buzzing crowd. The laughter and chatter that filled the air turned to hushed whispers, eyes darting between the newcomer and... Mia's breath caught in her throat. It was him, the figure from her past, a ghost she thought she had escaped. "Jordan!" she called, urgency rising in her voice. But he was too immersed in his music. The darkness of the man's presence pushed her forward. Instinct overtook reason. "What do you want?" Mia demanded, her heart hammering, wishing she had more courage than fear. The stranger smirked, eyes glinting. "Oh, Mia, it's not what I want. It's what you have." The words sliced through the air. The crowd around them stiffened. A collective gasp echoed. What did he mean? Questions swirled like the late autumn leaves around their feet. "Mia!" Jordan finally looked up, confusion etched on his face. His fingers hesitated over the keys. The haunting melody cut short. "Who is he?" With a trembling voice she whispered, "Someone I thought I was done with. Someone who knows too much." And then the stranger stepped closer, invading their fragile moment. "You both should be careful. Things are about to change. Secrets have a way of coming out, especially the ones that involve money or power." Jordan's eyes widened, brows furrowed. Suddenly, everything felt different. The warmth of their aloof friendship now chilled by revelations, hidden beneath layers of silence. Mia swallowed hard. "What do you mean?" The man grinned a menacing smile. "Let's just say, Mia's not who you think she is. She's not just another person in the crowd." The weight of his words hung heavy in the air. A shiver ran down Mia's spine. "What are you talking about?" Jordan's gaze darted between Mia and the stranger, tension electric and thick. Turning defensive, he squeezed her hand, grounding her. Mia's my friend. You've got nothing on her. But the man chuckled darkly, eyes glinting with triumph. You'll find out soon enough, kid. Secrets have a way of flipping lives upside down. And just as quickly as he had appeared, the stranger spun away, melding into the shadows that pooled beneath the trees. Jordan turned to Mia, panic flaring in his eyes. What's going on? What did he mean? Mia felt the warmth of his hand, but it felt distant now. Fear washed over her, breaking over her like waves on a rocky shore. She had lived in the shadows, always afraid that one day they would find her. I don't know how to explain this, she began, voice trembling. But before she could say more, the sky ripped open with a roar. The first heavy drops of rain crashing down, leaving both of them exposed. Along with the rain, a thought darted through her mind. What if everything she built, everything that had tied them together, was about to fall apart? The storm rushed in, drowning their words, blurring their reality. The music faded into the background, replaced by the sound of her heart pounding, the chaos around them growing. Were they truly bound together, or would the storm tear them apart? As the rains came heavier, fear pooled in her stomach, and Mia wondered if they could survive this darkness, or if the truth would drown them both. Something was stirring in the air. A tension crackled just beneath the surface, the kind that makes your skin prickle. As Mia watched Jordan from a distance, lost in his soulful playing, her heart swelled with both hope and fear. The ghosts of their past seemed to circle like vultures, waiting for the moment to strike. But then it happened. A dark figure emerged from the park's shadows. He walked with purpose, a sinister energy trailing behind him that sent a chill through the crowd. Mia felt it first. Her pulse quickened. Was he looking for someone? Just as the haunting notes from Jordan's piano reached a crescendo, the figure stepped closer, a glint of something metallic in his hand. Mia's breath caught in her throat. She recognized him. It was Derek, the man from her past. Someone she thought was long gone. The darkness of their shared history pulsed like a flood. He had been the reason for her escape, the artist turned criminal whose life choices left her scarred. "Jordan, stop!" she shouted, but the words came too late. Derek's eyes locked onto Jordan, fueled by a mix of rage and desperation. He moved swiftly, lunging toward the piano, desperate to reclaim something he believed belonged to him. The crowd gasped, a frozen tableau of fear tightening around them. Jordan looked up, confusion washing over his face. Did he sense the threat? Did he know the history that tied Mia and Derek together? He slowly pushed away from the keys, his fingers hovering in the air. The sound of that last note hanging there, unfinished, like a fragile prayer waiting for acceptance. Mia jumped to her feet, adrenaline surging through her veins. "Derek, you don't have to do this!" She stepped between them, her heart pounding so loud she feared everyone could hear it. A twisted grin spread across Derek's face. "What? So he can take the life you never wanted? He doesn't know the real you, Mia. What's it going to be? Him or the life you left behind?" Those words cut through her like shards of glass. They twisted old wounds wide open, dragging memories she tried to bury back to the surface. Jordan glanced at her, confusion morphing into concern. The warmth between them, the music, it felt like a tapestry unraveling, threads studded with harsh truths. "Get away from her!" Jordan shouted, his voice tremoring with urgency. Derek merely laughed. It was hollow, carrying the weight of betrayal and desperation. "She isn't who you think she is, man. You don't know anything about her past, or mine." Behind them, the crowd whispered, eyes darting. "Is this really happening? What's going on?" The atmosphere shifted, a wave of nervous energy rippling through the throng of onlookers. As Mia looked into Jordan's eyes, she saw a mix of fear and hope. Would he still see her, if he knew? Would the bridge they were starting to build fall apart with the truth? Suddenly, it all felt more fragile than before. Derek reached into his coat, pulling something out. A dark flash. Was it a weapon? Time slowed, the chaotic sounds muffled, as if the world faded away. Mia forced herself to step toward Derek, desperate to confront the past. "Please don't do this." But something cracked in him. An unyielding rage, twisted with despair, erupted like a bomb. The unexpected sound of something breaking shattered the moment. A brick flew from the edge of the park, narrowly missing Derek. The crowd gasped again. The tension hung thick like fog. The world spun as panic set in. Would Jordan stand by her if it all unraveled? Would she lose him too, just as she lost everything else? In that moment, everything shifted. Relationships hung by a thread, hidden truths waiting to explode. And as darkness swirled around them, Mia felt the weight of choices pressing down. One moment could change everything. What did Derek really want? And would the secrets of Mia's past shatter the fragile bond they had built? The answer hung in the air, heavier than she anticipated, like a storm poised to break. The tension hung in the air, like a storm cloud threatening to burst. Jordan stood, fists clenched between Mia and Derek. The crowd dimmed, all eyes fixated on the unsettling scene unfolding. Hearts racing, realizing they were on the brink of something bigger than they imagined. "Get away from her!" Jordan shouted again. His voice rang with urgency, echoing in the charged atmosphere. Mia's breath hitched, her heart thumping hard against her chest. Her past was catching up with her, and she felt the fear wrap around her like icy fingers. She held on tightly to Jordan, grounding herself in the moment, searching his eyes for reassurance. But before she could speak, Derek stepped closer, a manic glint in his eyes. "This isn't over, Mia. I know the truth." His voice was low, almost taunting. "You've hidden well, but it'll all come crashing down. You think you can bury the past forever?" The crowd murmured, shifting restlessly. Whispers bounced off one another like a game of telephone, the tension escalating. "What truth?" someone called out nervously. "What's he talking about?" Just then, a loud crack pierced the air like thunder rolling overhead. And then, everything changed. A blinding flash erupted at the far edge of the park. The source was unclear, but the explosion sent debris flying in every direction. It was chaos. Screams erupted, ringing in Mia's ears as people darted for safety, scattering like startled birds. "Jordan!" Mia screamed, grabbing his shirt as he instinctively turned to protect her. Her pulse raced, the ground shaking beneath them. Dust and dirt filled the air, blurring the edges of their reality. In that chaotic moment, Derek lost his grip on the situation. Panic clouded his expression, and he stumbled back, momentarily forgotten. Then, as the dust began to settle, the chaos transformed into something more urgent. From the smoke emerged a familiar face, someone Jordan never expected to see. His father. "Jordan!" he barked, his voice cutting through the panic. "Get away from her!" The sudden clarity washed over them like a cold wave. Mia's heart dropped. The man who had always loomed over Jordan's life, the one she'd only heard about, now stood in front of them. "Dad, what are you doing here?" Jordan's voice trembled with disbelief, tinged with something else. Fear? "Stop asking questions. You have to come with me now." He looked frazzled, his eyes darting to the crowd around them, the fleeting glances sparking a mix of intrigue and suspicion. Mia felt a weight shift in the air. "What is going on?" she shouted, still gripping Jordan's arm. Everything felt wrong, unraveling like a thread she couldn't catch. "Jordan, don't listen to him!" But his father was stone-faced, unmoving. "This is bigger than you imagine. They know about the money, about you." "What?" Jordan's expression morphed from confusion to shock. "What money? What are you even talking about?" Derek looked terrified, the bravado slipping away, eyes wide in realization. No, it can't be. Suddenly, the ground beneath them buzzed with energy, a ripple of expectation. A crowd held its collective breath. Mia felt suspended in time, emotions colliding in an explosion within her mind. "Your mother's life is in danger!" The words spilled from his father's mouth like poison. Mia stared, speechless. Jordan's mother? Everything shifted then, like the earth cracking open. Their shared past hadn't just been about music or pain. Shadows beyond their understanding awaited them, pulling them into a web that connected their lives more than they knew. The realization sank deeper. As she looked into Jordan's eyes, the weight of untold secrets hovered between them. What had she really stumbled into? "Jordan," she whispered, her throat tight. "What are you hiding?" The fear in his gaze reflected her own as everything began to twist. Just then, a siren wailed in the distance, drawing nearer. The world around them seemed to blur as the truth hung precariously in the air, leaving them teetering on the edge of revelation and despair. And as they stood there, a new storm brewed. Would they face it together, or would the truth tear them apart? The realization hung heavily in the air, momentarily silencing the chaos around them. Mia felt the weight of Jordan's father's words pressing down on her. "Your mother's life is in danger," echoed in her mind, the gravity of his statement almost suffocating. Fear curled tightly in her chest, a knot that twisted and pulled, making it hard to breathe. Jordan's eyes darted with confusion and mounting desperation. "What do you mean?" he shouted, his voice cracking under the pressure of the moment. The crowd shifted nervously, breaths held, caught in a moment that could shatter everything. Mia opened her mouth, desperate to explain that she had nothing to do with whatever Jordan's father was implying. But before she could form the words, the world around them tilted. She heard a low rumble, felt something shift beneath her feet. "Watch out!" someone screamed. The ground split open. A deafening roar exploded as a large section of the earth gave way. A massive sinkhole swallowing everything in sight. The crowd panicked, screaming, stumbling back. The frantic noise of people running filled the air like a wild animal escaping from its cage. Jordan grabbed Mia, pulling her tight against him. "Run!" he yelled, his face a mask of fear. They sprinted through the crowd, their hearts pounding in unison. Mia was painfully aware of everything around them. The chaos, the fear, but mostly the warmth of Jordan's hand, a lifeline in this swirling nightmare. But just as they reached the outer edge of the park, a flash of light erupted from the sinkhole. Startled, they turned, witnessing what seemed like a bright blue glow, glowing from deep within the chasm, illuminating faces stricken with terror. "What the hell is that?" Jordan gasped, his grip tightening around Mia's hand. Then, from that unexpected brilliance, something burst forth. A smooth, metallic object, larger than she could have imagined. It flew upward, spinning with grace, rising into the air like a shooting star. The crowd gasped, eyes wide, mouths open in shock. Mia's breath hitched. She knew that shape. It was a tech prototype, one that had been lost in a scandal years ago, rumored to be dangerous. Only, how did it end up here? A chilling thought crossed her mind. Was this all connected? But before she could voice her fears, the figure of Derek shot back into view, his expression twisted in horror and realization. "No, what have you done?" he screamed, taking a step back as he watched the tech hovering ominously. In that instant, Jordan turned to Mia, his expression cracked open with disbelief. "Mia, what did you have to do with this?" And then she saw it. His father's face had shifted from anger to something far worse, fear. The crowd trembled collectively as the truth hung in the air, thicker than fog. Suddenly, the metallic object made a sharp turn, locking onto Derek. A piercing shriek echoed, and with shocking speed, it flew straight for him. "Get down!" Jordan shouted, but it was too late. The light enveloped Derek, blinding everyone. The crowd screamed, a tidal wave of panic, as they shielded their eyes from the radiance. When the light faded, there was silence. ... Derek was gone. Mia's heart stumbled. Confusion melded with disbelief. Fear rippled through her body. How could this happen? Everything felt so surreal, like a bad dream from which she couldn't wake. Jordan turned to her again, his voice barely more than a whisper. "What are you hiding, Mia?" Oh, the tension between them turned palpable. She opened her mouth to respond, but there were no words, only a swirling chaos of questions. The truth lingered just out of reach, shrouded in shadows, leaving her breathless. Amid the smoke and whispered fears of the crowd, she realized something had changed forever. The bonds they had built, the fragile connection that had been growing, teetered on the edge of collapse. Would they stand together against whatever storm approached? Or would this new twist tear them apart? Suddenly, everything felt uncertain and dark. In the chaos, silence fell over the crowd like a heavy blanket. They stared at the smoking hole where Derek had disappeared. Shock evident on every face. Jordan's grip on Mia tightened, panic turning to raw fear. What just happened? His voice trembled, a mixture of disbelief and dread. Mia shook her head, overwhelmed. She could barely breathe, the air thick with confusion and anxiety. I don't know. The weight of all their secrets felt like a storm brewing inside her. As distress gripped Jordan's face, she realized he was searching for something. An explanation, an escape, Some semblance of hope. "We need to get out of here," he insisted, urgency pulling him away from the chaos. The crowd was in disarray, but Mia felt stuck. This wasn't just about them anymore. It was bigger, darker. "No, wait! We need to talk!" She grabbed his arm, desperation lacing her voice. Jordan's eyes shone with vulnerability, his world unraveling. "What did I just see?" "Who was that guy?" "He promised I'll explain later," Mia urged. Frustration and fear tinged their moment of connection. "But right now, we need to move." With the roar of police sirens closing in, they maneuvered through the crowd. People shouted and ran, trying to escape the disarray. Dread engulfed Mia. Would they be pulled back into more darkness? Suddenly, Jordan halted, now fully facing her. "You can't just leave me hanging! What do you know?" His eyes were wild, a mix of fear and insistent need for truth. Mia swallowed hard, the lump in her throat threatening to choke her. "I left that life behind. I was scared of him and what he could do. I thought I had escaped." His expression softened, clarity breaking through the storm. "We can't let our pasts control us. Together, we can face this." Determination flashed in her heart, igniting a flame of resolve. "You're right. We have to confront whatever's coming." As the sirens grew louder, a voice broke through the crowd. "Jordan, over here!" It was his father, fighting through the chaos, eyes frantic. Jordan looked back, torn. "No, I can't." "You have to listen," his father pleaded, desperation in his tone. "He's not gone. None of this is over." The sentiment rushed through Mia, electrifying the air. Were they really still in danger? Would it ever end? But she wouldn't let fear dictate her life any longer. "Let's go, Jordan, right now!" she shouted above the noise, pulling him towards the exit. As they fled, the world behind them blurred. Jordan's hand was warm in hers, a tether to hope. Suddenly, the ground shook again, a faint echo of what had happened moments ago. What was that? Mia stumbled, looking back to see a faint glimmer where Derek had vanished. Her heartbeat quickened. Was it over? More shadows danced at the edge of her thoughts, and she couldn't shake the feeling that their journey was just beginning. They stepped into the light outside the park, breathing heavily, still clutching each other. Jordan asked, fear flickering in his eyes. "We face it together," Mia said, her voice steady. "No more running. We'll find the truth." And just like that, a sense of possibility crept in, like daylight breaking through storm clouds. Though darkness lingered, they knew they had each other. Looking deep into one another's eyes, they felt ready to face whatever came next. As sirens faded into the distance, a new path appeared, uncertain and full of questions. But they wouldn't walk it alone. Now it's your turn. You have to subscribe immediately so you don't miss the upcoming exclusive stories. This is the moment to show your support. Smash that like button now to feed the algorithm. And flood the comments section with your reactions and theories about this ending. What happens next? You have to share this video instantly with at least 5 friends who need to see this ending. Don't wait even a second longer. Only true fans understand the importance of supporting the channel through these actions.